started that had it?
Just now.
Okay. Good to meet you.
I don't know when that was supposed to be.
Really?
All right. We are ready to call to order the June 19th meeting of the Hoover City Council. Madam Clerk, would you please call the roll?
Mr. Green?
Here.
Mr. Lyda?
Here.
Dr. Middlebrooks?
Here.
Mr. Murphy?
Here.
Mr. Posey?
Here.
Mr. Shaw?
Here.
Mr. Smith?
Here. If we would please stand, if the clerk would please provide the invocation, Mr. Posey, pledge.
Let us pray. Lord, we come to you with grateful hearts for our many blessings. We thank you for answered prayers, as you have revealed to us again and again your amazing healing power. We pray for the sick in our community, especially Robert Yeager. We are grateful for the progress he has made, and we continue to pray for a complete recovery. We offer prayers for peace for this nation and the entire world during these troubled times. And we ask for protection on our military and all of our first responders who put their lives on the line every day for us. In your name we pray. Amen. Salute and pledge. Approval of the minutes. We have the June 1st work session available to vote. Last council meeting went so long, we're going to have to budget some more memory in the computer for her to be able to get them complete, so we'll bring those forward at a later date. Do I have a motion?
Mr. President, I move for approval of the minutes without reading.
Second.
Have a motion second. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed nay. The ayes have it. Report section, I believe Ms. Huddleston is not here tonight. Is that correct? So we will move on to Mayor Mercado and employee recognition.
Thank you, Mr. President. I appreciate the opportunity to be a part of this recognition of employees that have been with us for 20 years plus. Is, I think, a great tradition that we have started here by introducing these folks, bringing them here, and just recognizing the service that they have given to our city for so many years. Mr. Steve Knudsen could not be here. He's with the the library. He has 20 years of service, but we'll start with Sergeant Nick Goulas. Nick here? All right, Nick, he said he was feeling poorly and he may not be here, so we'll move on. So we're going to start with our 30-year, Patricia Allen. Patricia, come down. Patricia's with our Revenue Department. She came here in 1987, became a Revenue Examiner, and was promoted to Revenue Officer in 1999. She is a licensed attorney, and probably, there's nothing that you can call on that is too big for her to handle. And those are the words of her supervisor, Frank Lopez. He leans on her a great deal. Patricia is a revenue officer. They call that a tax collector, I think. Is that right? That'd be fair. But she's one of the nicest tax collectors you could ever meet in your life. And just always has a great disposition and has been a wonderful servant to our city, and I'm grateful that she's been here for 30 years.
Makes you happy to cut that check.
And the next, Gary Green. Gary, come down. Gary's here with his wife, Gail. His daughter is Landy here, and son Taylor, grandson Beckham. Thank y'all for coming. Gary is actually, Gary's been here 30 years and retired June 1st, 2017. Gary's been just a great police officer for our city. Not only a police officer that works the streets every day, but he's involved in the community. He's a great baseball player back in the days, from what I hear. But he takes young men now and teaches them the skills of baseball. And like I said, just very involved in our city. And I've had the pleasure of working side by side with him as a firefighter as well. And I appreciate all that you have done for our city, and we're grateful that you're going to continue on as a reserve officer for us. Is that correct? So we're happy to have you continue on, and I know that y'all are very proud of him as well. We just appreciate all that you've done for us.
Mayor, I've known Officer Green to be a very tall man. But there's a gentleman in the back, and I don't think he can tell.
Yeah.
I think Mr. Light would have to look up to you, sir.
Our next 30-year employee is Barb Jenkinson. She should be here with her husband, Steve. Come down. Everybody knows Barb. If you wanted to buy an eraser, you had to go to Barb. If you wanted to buy $1 million fire truck, you had to go to Barb. And buddy, she ran a very tight ship. I also had the privilege of hearing her say, "No, you can't buy that." Many times over the last 30 years, I suppose. But Barb is retiring as well, and she's going to be very, very difficult to replace. Not only is she great at what she does as handling purchasing, but she's a wonderful lady, and she enjoys tennis. And gosh, I think you play every day. I see you pull out of here with your convertible and just ready to go. So. We're going to miss you a great deal, and we certainly thank you for all you do. You know, we don't have many of these. We're getting some that are getting close. But Paul, Lieutenant Paul Boncareer, come down, Paul.
Is he a 50-year pen?
He is. Paul is a 40-year servant of the city of Hoover. Just a great police officer, a dedicated individual to our city. Knew his mom and dad. Called your dad Bear, if I'm not mistaken. And knew your mom as well. So they've been Hoover folks for many, many years. And Paul was started here in 1977, promoted to sergeant in '84 and a police lieutenant. And just we appreciate all that he has done, his experience. He's always been involved in aviation in the city and does a wonderful job there. Paul is a guy that is just a sincere individual, very level, easygoing kind of guy, just a pleasant person to be around, and we're grateful for all that you have done in your 40 years here. And I think that, you know, at 40 years you deserve more than just, number one, we didn't have a pen. 40. So we're going to go a little, we went a little extra.
Recognition of 40 years of service and dedication to the city of Hoover.
And I hope you're around for a 50 years.
How about that?
That concludes recognizing our employees' service here. We have the privilege of bringing on a brand new employee, and I'll ask Chief Dursey to come down and introduce our new employee and to complete that.
Thank you, Mayor, Council. Appreciate the opportunity to introduce you to our newest police officer. But prior to that, I just want to say thanks to Gary Green, 30 years of service, great guy. The mayor talked about him being a baseball guy. When we hired him, he was actually one of the coaches at UAB baseball and worked for Harry the Hat Walker, a legendary hitting coach, played for the New York Yankees, was a Hoover guy also. So appreciate that service. And what we say about Boncareer, 40 years and still going strong. And I was hired after Paul, so I don't have 40 yet, but appreciate those guys. Eugene, come on down.
Chief, when he's coming, just so you know, I'm sure it's okay now that he has retired, but Mr. Green was very good at ping pong tournaments at Station 5.
Hey, you can talk about that now. Eugene Newbold started with us on May the 30th of this year. He has a master's degree at University of Cincinnati, bachelor's in physical education from Alabama State University. He was with the Jefferson County Sheriff's Reserve, police officer for 3 years. The interesting fact is that when we hired him, he is the physical education teacher and coach at Homewood High School. So he's given up his coaching duties and phys ed, become a police officer, and we feel very, very fortunate to have him. He's a great guy. We hired him actually a few months ago, and he felt obligated to finish the school year out at Homewood High School. And I've talked to people at Homewood, and they hated to see him leave, but he is following his passion. And Aldeca, you should have had me a box to stand on or something. It'll make me look bad down here, but we will swear him.
Swear him in. Make it squat down.
I state your name.
I, Eugene Austin, Newbold III,
A police officer from the city of Hoover, Alabama.
a police officer for the city of Hoover, Alabama.
You solemnly swear that I will,
Do solemnly swear that I will,
to the best of my skill and ability,
to the best of my skill and ability,
faithfully discharge all duties required
faithfully discharge all duties required
and
cases to hold and enforce
in all cases of hold and enforce
the laws and Constitution of the state of Alabama,
criminal laws and Constitution of the state of Alabama,
the ordinances of the city of Hoover,
the ordinance of the city of Hoover,
the criminal laws and Constitution of the United States,
criminal laws and Constitution of the United States,
and obey the rules governing the police department.
and obey the rules governed by the police department.
So help me God.
So help me God.
Welcome. We need lighter down here.
Gene, I can't see. Got everybody on three, 1, 2, 3. Chief,
Thank you. Thank you. Well, thanks.
I believe now the mayor has an appointment made to the City Personnel Review Board.
Yes, sir, thank you. I've said it many times, one of the things that makes our city so great are the folks that volunteers serve on our various boards. And this is one that we have an appointment that has come up on our Personnel Review Board, and that is the selection of the employees. And so they have selected just an outstanding citizen that a major part of our community, and that's Mr. George Winslow. George? Yes. So we would like to present George with just a certificate of appointment and appreciation. And we appreciate you stepping up and doing the job of reviewing decisions about our personnel. Things may not have gone in the exact direction that they had hoped. So it could be a very difficult job. Thank you for stepping up to do that.
I'd like to take a point of personal privilege. Ms. Roberson, please come down front. I want to have my picture made. This is Denise's, she's the mayor's secretary. This is her last council meeting as a city employee. She's going to be retiring at the end of this month. She's worked for virtually every mayor of the city. Is that maybe except for the first one? Mr. Braddock? Been quite a few, about six mayors, which means she's got a book coming out at Books. Be out in time for Christmas. But we want to thank you for your years of service here publicly, and we'd like to have our picture made with you.
reception for her on Friday, June the 30th at Aldrich Gardens, beginning at 1 o'clock, and we would love for the community to come out and send her off in a very special way that she very much deserves.
All right, as we get into our action items, I've got a resolution that I would like to bring up. Resolution number 5594-17 was previously brought before the council, and a motion was made to table it to the call of the chair. At this time, I would like to call Resolution 5594-17 back up for reconsideration. Mr. Corley.
Resolution 5594-17 authorizes the mayor to execute an amended use agreement with the Hoover City Board of Education regarding the city of Hoover's use of the old gymnasiums at Green Valley Elementary School and Shades Mountain Elementary School.
For a motion?
Mr. President, I move for approval of resolution 5594-17.
Second.
A motion and a second. Any conversation from the council?
Mr. President, if I may, I just
Yes,
want
sir.
to thank Mr. Rice and the mayor, Craig Moss, and I'm sure other staff of the Park and Rec Department. If you remember, Mr. President, this item had quite a bit of discussion that night. And that team I just mentioned went back to the drawing board and worked and got us a lot of answers we had asked questions about. I just want to thank you. That's what this process is all about, is getting together for a workable solution. And you guys went above and beyond to do that. I just want to say thank you.
If I could, I'd second that. Any other comments from the council? Any from the audience? Seeing and hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, nay. The ayes have it. Now we're going to move to item 6, resolution 5598-17. Mr. Corley.
This resolution declares the following properties located in the city of Hoover at the following addresses to be nuisances due to weeds and or high grass that are on an order of abatement thereof by the city of Hoover as provided under Alabama law. 124 Cobblestone Lane, 1536 Holly Road, and 336 Regent Lane.
Mr. President, I move for approval of resolution 5598-17.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Mr. Mack, would you like to give a report?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. We started with 8 properties, and fortunately, 5 of them took care of it themselves, so that left us with 3. The one on Cobblestone Lane is in the process of being foreclosed, but it did make the cut, or it did get cut. And Regent Lane, it's occupied, but it's also been bought for tax purposes on that one. And then the last one on Holly Road, I actually spoke with the owner, and she's gonna take care of that, or that's her intention. She just obviously hasn't made it yet. The backyard is really bad with the broken down.
Just need a little help to help make sure she understands.
Yes, sir. She's, I think she's on board now, and she'll have the time, she'll take care of it. So I didn't want to leave it on the agenda since she hasn't this one. So.
Any questions from the council?
Mr. President,
Yes,
so
sir.
Holly Road is occupied.
Holly Road is vacant.
Vacant.
It's, I do have contact with the owner, but it is vacant.
Okay. You mentioned that already. No, you're saying all was there. And Regent Lane,
Regent Lane is occupied by a tenant. It's been bought for tax purposes, and, you know, that's where we're at on that. The owner's there and not cut it. So. And that one, as you know, is ongoing. It stays kind of in a state of being overgrown.
and Cobblestone,
Cobblestone is vacant. It's the one in foreclosure. So. There's a dumpster there. Somebody's.
I see the dumpster, or remodeling it or something?
I believe they're cleaning out whoever was in their stuff. Usually when that happens, the yard usually falls in right behind it. Usually once they get everything out, then they start clearing the yard. So.
Thank you.
Any other questions from the council? Robert,
Yes, sir.
you say that the house on Regent is being leased.
Yes.
Has the owner obtained a business permit? They're paying lease tax.
No, sir, they have not. We don't have any records of them on
Maybe you
this.
could talk to Mr. Lopez, so we can get on top of that as well.
Yes, sir.
Want them to be successful in business, but Anything from the audience? Seeing and hearing none? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, nay. The ayes have it. Item number 7 is a public hearing for abatement of public nuisance due to weeds and/or grass. This is going to include resolutions 5599, 17, and 5600, 17. Mr. Corley.
Just 5599. I understand that, may have been abated.
Yes, the property at Talbrook has been cut to my satisfaction, can be removed if we don't take any more else, to council.
Is that 99 or 5600? 99. Okay, so we'll need a motion to dispose of this, I guess, just to withdraw.
Mr. President, I move to withdraw resolution 5599-17.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, nay. The ayes have it. Mr. Corley, resolution 5600-17.
This resolution authorizes the mayor and/or his designee to execute an online customer order form with Arrowhack Networks as a third-party cloud service provider for additional wireless access points and to agree to all terms set forth therein.
Mr. President, I move for approval of resolution 5600-17.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any questions from the council? Any from the audience? Is, Dr. Lopez, is there anything that you think needs to be displayed in the minutes?
I think you're good.
All right, she says we're good. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, nay. The ayes have it. Item 10, first reading of ordinance 17-2341. Mr. Corley.
Let's go back to item 9.
Well, we should. Item 9, resolution 5601-17.
This resolution authorizes the mayor to execute a special service agreement with Bell South Telecommunications LLC, doing business as AT&T Alabama, for the removal, or to remove the primary rate ISDN service PRI screening tables.
Mr. President, I move for approval of resolution 5601-17.
Second.
We have a motion second. Any questions from the council? What is a PRI screening table? Whoever wants to answer. Oh, it's that long.
I don't think it's that long. I think it stands for primary rate interface. But basically, the PRIs hold all the phone numbers for the city. I think we have a total of 5 PRIs in the city, and these 2 are our main PRIs.
Okay. Mr. Shaw, could you turn that into English?
PRIs are like a chunk of phone lines, so 24 lines in each PRI. So that would be 5 times that is what, that's what we have. PRI rate screening tables, I've never dealt with those before. This has to do with the caller ID, correct?
Yeah, and we do have a lot more than just 100 and something phone numbers, but basically, this was a request from dispatch, and as numbers are forwarded, for instance, from the city clerk's office after hours, then they would like to retain the caller ID information, and they think this will help us do that.
Very good. I understand that.
It sounds like that it has to do with something that wraps those PRIs for caller ID purposes. This is get rid of it, replacing it with something new. You can't get PRIs anymore. You can only get voice over IP stuff with a PRI handoff, and so this might be doing something like that. That's the speculation. You can call an emergency telecom.
You know what Mr. Shaw said. All right. Any comments or questions from the council? Any from the audience? Hearing none, all in favor say aye. Aye. Those opposed, nay. The ayes have it. Now we will go to item 10, first reading of ordinance 17-2341. Mr. Corley.
This ordinance amends the Hoover Municipal Code, specifically Chapter 2, Article 1, Section 2 through 6A2, Section 2-6A2, which establishes the notification list for meetings of Hoover boards, authorities, and commissions to revise the meeting time of the Board of Zoning Adjustments from 7:30 p.m. to 7 p.m.
Before I ask for a motion, when is the next meeting for this group? Mr. President.
okay because they actually had a case that was continued, so they're probably better off sticking with it.
Very good. Very good. All right, it's first reading, and it's basically taking the Board of Zoning adjustment, changing their meeting time from 7:30 to 7 o'clock. Anything from the council? All right, item 11, first reading ordinance 17-2344, Mr. Corley.
This ordinance amends the Hoover Municipal Code, specifically Chapter 11.5 Parks and Recreation, to add Section 11.5-7, which establishes the Hoover Metropolitan Advisory Committee and establishes the parameters for such committee.
This again is the first reading. The second reading and consideration for adoption is Monday, July the 3rd. This is the long-awaited committee for the oversight of the Met Complex, including the Finley Center. It provides for 2 appointees from the mayor, 2 appointees from the chair, and 1 appointee from Park and Rec. They will meet the second Wednesday of every month for the first 3 months, and then meet quarterly thereafter. I don't know if any of the members have any questions for tonight or not.
Mr. President, only one modification. Second page, section D, on the meeting forms and procedure, sentence 4 should be changed from the second Wednesday of each month, second Wednesday of each quarter.
That's correct. He and I have spoken about that. Daniels, you have that? It will reflect in the voting, document that we vote on next week. Thank you, Mr. Murphy. Next, item 12, second reading of ordinance 17-2338. Mr. Corley.
This ordinance approves an annexation of an approximate 7-acre parcel known as the Hand property and an approximate 24-acre parcel known as the Carmichael property that is currently surrounded by and will become a part of the Black Ridge PUD.
Looking for a motion?
Mr. President, I move for the approval of ordinance number 17-2338.
Second.
All right, we've got a motion, second for the adoption of ordinance 17-2338. I would just like to say for the record that this is one of 2 properties that when Signature was looking to obtain the property for the Black Ridge development, they had 2 small holdouts of property owners that were trying to get a little better deal, and I'm assuming that they must have, because now they're before us. Any questions from the council? Any from the audience? Seeing, hearing none, we have a motion, we have a roll call vote, please, Madam Clerk.
Yes, Mr. Green.
Aye.
Mr. Lyda.
Aye.
Dr. Middlebrooks.
Aye.
Mr. Murphy.
Aye.
Mr. Posey.
Aye.
Mr. Shaw.
Aye.
Mr. Smith.
Aye. All right, item 13, second reading of ordinance 17-2339, Mr. Corley.
This ordinance approves the annexation of Phase 1 of Fleming property, approximately 117 acres, currently located adjacent to and to become part of the Trace Crossing PUD.
Mr. President, I move for the adoption of ordinance number 17-2339.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Any comments or questions from the council? This is a similar issue just as was the previous. Any questions from the audience? Hearing and seeing none, Madam Clerk.
Mr. Green.
No.
Mr. Lyda.
Aye.
Dr. Middlebrooks.
Aye.
Mr. Murphy.
Aye.
Mr. Posey.
Nay.
Mr. Shaw.
Aye.
Mr. Smith.
Aye. That ordinance has been accepted by the majority of the council. Item 15 is the setting of public hearings for Monday, July 17th, 6 o'clock. Okay. Item 14 is a first reading of ordinance 17-2340.
approves the annexation of Phase 2 of Fleming parcels 1 and 2, approximately 53 acres currently located adjacent to and to become part of the Trace Crossings PUD.
For a motion. So it's first reading. Is there any presentation that is going to occur with this? I assume not. All right. The second reading and consideration for adoption will be Monday, July the 3rd. Now to item 15, set public hearings for Monday, July the 11th, 6 o'clock here in the council chambers. Mr. Michael Birch is requesting conditional use approval for restaurant retail liquor to be sold at the Boot at the Grove located at 5532 Grove Boulevard. KD Hoover LLC is the property owner and the property is zoned PC Plan Commercial. Item B, Mr. John LaReach is requesting conditional use approval for Covenant Classical School Daycare to be located on Greystone Way in the Tattersall Park subdivision. Covenant Classical School is the property owner and the property is zoned C2 commercial business. Item C is the first reading of ordinance 17-2342. Mr. Corley.
This ordinance pre-zones part of Lot 1, Douglas Commons at Patton Chapel subdivision, owned by Chapel Farms Holding Company LLC from Jefferson County A1, RG, and C1 to Hoover PRD Planned Residential Development District, particularly for a proposed residential development consisting of 42 60-foot single-family residential lots for an age 55 and older community. This pre-zoning was recommended by the city's Planning and Zoning Commission, PC case number Z-0517-09.
Is there anyone here representing the applicant tonight? Are you aware of the amendment that was made late this afternoon? Danielson, is this not the property Mr. Corley, this property we spoke of earlier today?
Correct. It just included the contingency and the reference to the age-restricted housing as a condition of the pre-zoning, and provides that if it is no longer used for age-restricted housing under the covenants, that the city reserves the right to de-annex the property as permitted by law.
Do you have any questions for that? Okay. You may want to contact Mr. Corley's office or maybe the city clerk to get a full copy of the ordinance, and then we'll talk about any changes at the public hearing. Item D is first reading of ordinance 17-2343. Mr. Corley.
This ordinance pre-zones the commercial sector of Part 1 of Lot 1, Douglas Commons at Patton Chapel subdivision owned by Chapel Farms Holding Company LLC from Jefferson County C1 to Hoover C2 Community Business District. This pre-zoning was recommended by the city's Planning and Zoning Commission in PC case Z-0517-10.
Is there any presentation that needs to be made tonight of this? All right, moving on.
Mr. President,
Yes, sir.
I would like to reflect, have the minutes reflect that the public hearings will be set for Monday, July 17th. I believe you may have said July 11th.
Well, in case I did err, then we will make the correction for A through D, July 17th. After that, Slider payment bills.
Review bills and recommend they be paid in full.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any questions from the council? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, nay. The ayes have it. Next is comments and questions. Mayor, I believe you wanted to be recognized. Oh, you go at the end? All right. Personally, I would like to talk about the 2 days involving the grand opening of the Veterans Center, both Friday and Saturday. I talked to Mr. Jones, tried to give him some of the accolades, and he said that Ms. Cobal was the one that should receive all those accolades. Her staff. Did I say that? She did. And so I want to thank amazing how many families and children were there. I know that in the few hours I was there, it was just great. Any other comments or questions from the council?
Mr. President,
Oh, go ahead, Mr. President.
Monty, my son started the sports camp today, and he absolutely loved it. He's so looking forward to going back tomorrow.
Mr. President, I have some questions for Mr. Rice concerning some previously approved capital projects.
Yes, sir.
I'd just like to get an update. Mr. Rice, mainly it's the salary survey, where we stand on that. Bluff Park sidewalks, where we stand on the percentage of right-of-way and time frame, acquisition of those. Bluff Park restrooms, where we stand on the bridge leading from City Hall to the library. We had mentioned some security cameras put out at our parks to deter vandalism. And the intersection on Highway 31 near Jim and Nick's.
Now, Dr. Middlebrooks, I've passed the age of 45, so you're gonna have to go back and just work with me now. Salary survey, have we already sent out the RFP, or is it still in review, Ben?
It is, I have final tweaks on it right before I came to this meeting, so it should go out tomorrow.
Good timing, thank you. Salary survey goes out tomorrow, so, and we've worked with Mr. Lewis to identify a list of firms that we believe have not only the capability to execute this, but to do it in a timely manner. We won't have it ready in time for the budget formulation process, but we do think we can have it ready for a midterm adjustment, maybe at the end of the first quarter or mid-budget.
Thank you. Bluff Park sidewalks.
Yes, sir, we are in the right-of-way acquisition phase. I think we have 38 pieces of right-of-way that have to be acquired for that. We've had responses from 19 of those landowners, so we're working our way through that process. We anticipate it'll take until the end of this calendar year to probably get all that right-of-way pinned down. And then we'll go into the design phase with Aldous. We hope that we'll be able to get that out to bid by spring or summer of 2018. There's a conundrum there. We can self-fund sidewalks and move faster, but if we do that, we leave state money on the table. And if we work through the process, although it's sometimes painfully slow, we can get those sidewalks 80% funded.
The Bluff Park restrooms.
Yes, sir, that project is underway. I'm pleased to report we found a very economical solution, which will at least get us to an interim period, and that is to reconfigure and open up the use of the restrooms that are inside the Bluff Park Community Center. So that's underway right now, and fortunately, we think that cost won't exceed $15,000. So there'll be an exterior entrance, some security lighting, and we'll just be able to use the restrooms that are in there now. We'll wall off a corridor so that if there's an event going on in the community center, which are very rare because of the condition of the building right now, we won't interfere with people coming and going. We'll put those on the rotation for the park rangers, so they'll be locked up after park hours. But during the time that the park is open, there'll be access to those restrooms.
Do you know the park hours for that?
I think it's sun up to sundown. Mr. Moss, yes, sir, sun up to sundown.
Park security cameras.
Yes, sir, we have those. Fortunately, another good report. We were able to obtain an extra one for the money that you guys so graciously provided. So we'll have several. We're not going to tell you how many because it kind of defeats the purpose of the program. But we'll have several park security cameras and some dummy housing. So we'll have a lot of housing units out there. Nobody will ever know where the cameras are. These are for the deterrence and prevention of vandalism and other crimes that might occur in the park after sundown. They're awaiting deployment. We need to have a conversation among and between risk management, Parks and Rec, and the police department to get a little protocol in place for how those will be used. But they should be out within the next few weeks.
And then finally, the intersection near Jim and Nick's.
Yes, sir. Also a DOT project. It has been surveyed, and so they've selected their contractor. They completed the survey last week, or a week before last. We think final plans will go into the DOT by August, and hopefully we'll be looking at a bid the first part of 2018. Won't start work in the first part, but we should go to bid the first part of 2018.
Thank you, Mr. Rice.
Sure.
Mr. President, just a couple of points. Thank you, Mac, for process. And I know that Alan can't talk too much about it because he needs to get some more things together. But thank you to the mayor's office and Alan and the chief for coming up with a couple of areas they have looked at for internet purchasing drop-off points. Again, when he gets those things together, he'll be able to publicly talk about it. But they've been doing a lot of hard work at evaluating some areas, and also security cameras and things will be provided for those areas. So thank you so much, Alan.
Well, thank you, sir. The thanks predominantly goes to the police and fire department. They've worked together to identify great locations, make sure they're secure, and that people can have confidence when they have a transaction that they need to execute.
All right, good. Thank you. One more quick question for you. I know we put in the budget a survey for South Shades Crest Road. Is that a part of, can we not talk about that right now? Is it part of the entire capital traffic plan, or kind of wait till all that principal issue?
Oh, that's standalone. Mr. Westoven has the best information on that.
Yeah, we're currently approaching the completion of that study. We
Okay.
don't have it yet, but we should have it in the next couple of weeks.
Okay, thank you so much.
Mr. Rice, talking again about the salary survey. Previous company, Yarger Decker, have they been invited to participate again?
I think the most recent survey, Mr. Smith, was a different firm, Mercer, thank you.
Oh, yeah, Mercer, and Mercer.
We constructed a list, and I don't think that they're on it.
Thank you, sir.
Yes, sir.
Anything else from the council? Maybe you want to wait till after the audience? I know it's not. Anyone from the audience here to speak this evening? All right. Rob? Mayor, I guess you're it. Say, I don't want your job.
Well, thank you, Mr. President. I appreciate the opportunity to speak to council tonight. I think a time has come for us to think about some things. You know, we celebrate our 50th anniversary as a city, and I look back on our history and just take stock of where we were and all we've come through and where we are today and where do we want to go tomorrow. We've had our 50 years, we've established a wonderful city here that we can continue to go on just as we are, and it'll be a wonderful city. It's a very special place, but you know, we've got great natural resources, outstanding public services, fantastic school system. We have a very diverse community that we're proud of, and just a great quality of life here. Just a lot of good things that are happening in Hoover, Alabama. You know, because of the success of our city, we have people that want to live here. And I don't think you could get any better compliment than that when you have people that want to move into your city and businesses want to come into your city. All great things. And, you know, we've set a really high bar in our civic services. We talked about often about our citizens and how involved they are in our city. And we want to maintain that civic involvement. We also want to just maintain this great quality of life that we've all come to enjoy, and just know that we have, that we've prepared and we've looked ahead. So as we look at the changing landscape in our nation, in our region, and right here in our city, we've got to make great decisions, I think, as we move forward, and just plan carefully, and just, you know, we want to make sure that we have the ability to meet our needs and expectations as we move into the future. And with our success has come many challenges, or let's call them opportunities. The growth in our city has been a blessing, but, you know, again, it creates some opportunities for us to make sure that we continue to have an outstanding school system. We all are very proud of that. We want to make sure that we keep it vibrant, healthy, and able to prepare our children for that next level. We have opportunities we hear about traffic in Hoover. So what is that going to look like as we move forward in the next 10, 15 years? What is that gonna look like? Public safety, making sure we've got a wonderfully safe city here. And we were talking to the Galleria the other day, management there. And, you know, that they measure crime in that, there's some body that measures crime in different areas of town all over the United States. And so they looked at the area of the Galleria and it graded an A. So you've got this major shopping center where people come from all over the state to shop, and yet it's the safest place, has the safest rating that you can get. And that's something we're very proud of, and we appreciate all that our police officers, Chief Durs's and his staff does with that. But just, we want to make sure that as we look down the road that we have all of the things in place that we need to have in place, and it will not limit us when we have opportunities that come before us. So I think it's, you know, it's time that we think ahead and we want to be able to move forward. Our schools, without a doubt, crown jewel, wonderful school system. During the 2016 campaign, I committed to working with our school system. I think our citizens expect that. I've done that. You all have done that. I meet regularly with Dr. Murphy. Our first budget, we doubled our funding that we send to the school system, and we provide many other forms of in-kind services that defray their operating costs every day. But even with that, our superintendent has told us that they face some real challenges as they plan for the future, as they plan for these children. We're talking about portable classrooms now. We know that we know the growth is coming. If we don't do another thing, we know the growth is coming. And if that growth comes, and it's 5, 10 years down the road, it will put our one of our high schools at overcapacity. And so we want to start looking, thinking about things, just exactly what does that mean? And we need to continue with, talks with our school system. And Councilman Murphy, as our liaison, has proposed that very thing, where we begin dialogue with them, as many of you all have done the same thing on a lot of different areas. So we want to do that. The city can continue the current level of support that we're doing. But it'd be very difficult for us to continue, if not impossible, to continue that level of support, or to increase that level of support without straining our own obligations, things that we have that we know that we've got to do. And so this concerns me. And, but the school is not the only thing that we have to address in our city. I mentioned roads, I mentioned public safety. So I think it's time now that we look at all of those things. The funding of our school system, funding for our transportation system, our roads, just the overall look at, take a 30,000-foot view of our city and our transportation and how that's going to look in the next 50 years. What type of staffing needs are we going to have? Facility needs are we going to have as a city? Looking at those things. Thinking about our libraries, the most fantastic library in the state of Alabama, very busy. And we met with them, many of you were there. We had a meeting with them this past week about all of the things that they want to do. Do we want a fine arts center? Do we want a downtown Hoover? All of these things that we need to plan for. There's a need for just an aggressive economic development program in our city. I think it's just very important. We've all talked about diversifying our revenue base and just diversifying our city businesses in general. We're making some strides in doing that. And then we have to look at our stormwater and our wastewater management program. Right now it's a shining example in the state of Alabama. Our engineers do a great job in making sure of that. But how's it going to look 5, 10, 15 years down the road? And then we need to address things like marketing programs that will promote the city of Hoover. I think these are just all very exciting things that we need to look at. They don't depress me at all. I think they're very exciting opportunities for our city, because when I look at that interstate right there, and I see how many people come, we're sitting right in the center. We're ready to explode, and we just need to look ahead and be prepared for those things. And so for all those reasons, and just to protect the quality of life that we all enjoy, I want to announce tonight that we're going to establish something. We're going to call it Future Hoover. And this is going to be an effort. It's going to take all of us, the residents, the business leaders, our elected officials, the city staff, and we want to explore the different ways to keep our economy, the vitality going, and develop the real questions and answers that all of you develop the answers to all of the questions that many of you ask every day, and many of the citizens ask as well. And so we'll begin to immediately assemble parties that will undertake this initiative, and we want to bring this back to the council in the next 6 months. And so by January, we want to be able to present our recommendations to you for securing an economic future. And then we'll then begin implementing that to put in place what the citizens of Hoover have told us that they want. So we want to do a comprehensive plan. We've talked about that, the last 6 or 8 months. And we want to, just to see how Hoover is developing, where we want to go in terms of growth. But Future Hoover will provide us a roadmap for meeting our economic needs. So I think it's very important that I share with you that Future Hoover is something that is going to be driven by our citizens. What direction do they want us to go in as elected leaders? Where do they want us to go? What road do they want us to take? So as elected leaders, city council, I'm calling on you to work with me, the staff, and our citizens as we move forward to develop this plan that will ensure the economic future of Hoover is in outstanding shape, and that we can continue to meet the needs of our great city and our wonderful citizens. So, it's my pleasure to serve as the mayor. It's just been an incredible opportunity. I love working with our citizens. Our business community is just outstanding, and we want to just continue to building community together, so to speak. And it's going to take all of us to do that. So I appreciate you giving me the opportunity to share my thoughts on that and where I think we need to take our city in the direction that we need to go. So if you have any questions, I'll be glad to try to answer those.
Mr. Mayor, is this a strategic plan, more or less?
Well, it certainly is a plan that we're going to put together. We're going to take all of the interested individuals, groups, the stakeholders, and put them together. And we want to lay out exactly what do they want our school system to look like. But not just our school. What do they want our park and recs to look like? What do they want, do we want our library to look? Do we want to expand that? Do we want a downtown Hoover? Is that something that we really want? Do we want a state-of-the-art fine arts center? Things like that. So we want to put those out there and let's talk about them. Let's see how we're going to, what do we want to do? How do we want to fund those? Most importantly, you must always remember that we want to be good stewards of the money that we're already given. That's the most important thing. We've taken initiatives in this administration to make sure that we have followed, I think, in my opinion, what our forefathers have done in the past 50 years. They've been very frugal and wise with their money, and I think that we can carry that forward, and I always want to commit to do that. But there are opportunities out there, and we want to look at those opportunities and plan for those opportunities. So yes, it's a plan. It certainly is a plan.
Mr. President, Mr. Mayor, will these recommendations come from Future Hoover Committee, or will there be a community-wide survey given out?
What we'd like to do is we want to meet with, say, from July to September. I'll just kind of lay out what we have tossed around in our head and how this would work. We'd meet with the Hoover schools to determine the future school funding needs. Big priority. Everybody recognizes it. Compile capital and operational needs that we see and can forecast for the city. And then develop any alternatives for financial support. How we're going to do these things that we identified that we need. We want to do that sometime between July and September. And then we're going to conduct community feedback sessions from September to November. Conduct community feedback sessions citywide. We want to hear from the residents and from the businesses. And then we'll compile that feedback. And then in early December, not during the holidays, we'll bring that information back to you. But who'll be involved? We want to get the Hoover City Schools, city staff, city council. The community is the most important component of all that. So we'll take it on the road. We're going to have community meetings. We want to live stream it where people can see it and just be a part of it. We want them to give us some direction on where we're going for the next 50 years. So the community, Dr. Middlebrooks, is very, very important, the most important group that we will deal with in this process.
Mr. President, Mr. Mayor, I'd like to commend you on your foresight, and like any other business, if you're stagnant, many times you're behind, because we're in heavy competition, not only with other cities, but with other states. They're looking for the same jobs and moving the same people in. So I really want to commend you on your desire to move the city forward and I'll talk about those tough and challenging conversations. So at least when we have them at the table, everybody can see eye to eye and see what we're looking at down the road. So thank you so much for presenting.
Well, I appreciate that. But I can say, and you know this as well as anyone, I don't think this shocks anybody up here. I think this is, that each one of you have a lot of this in mind already. I think you're already thinking about it. I've talked to each one of you on different areas. So thank you for that, but I think it's going to be a collaborative effort from all of us. And I don't think it's going to be that difficult either, because it's something we all want to see.
So this sounds like a great idea. Is this going to feed into the comprehensive planning process or the master planning process? Is this kind of set up goals that would help that process? Is it a part of that bigger vision, or is this something different?
Yeah, I think that's different. The comprehensive plan is going to look at our city and how it's growing and what this part of town might need to look like, what the zoning might need to look like, where our roads are going. I mean, certainly we'll gather some information. We'll be able to gather information from that comprehensive plan to feed into it. That will be part of the staff's recommendations. We're building this model. But I don't see it being one book that's got all of this information.
Anyone else? Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you very much.
Thanks for bringing us up to date. And I'll take a motion to adjourn.
Move for adjournment?